First up from Unconventional Gaming, where will our offense be elite again? Man, I don't know. I think in reality, they have to find a way to get Russell Wilson some help. And there are a couple comments here. Alejandro Padilla, should we get new offensive linemen? I say yes. Griffin Krupp, what are some offensive lineman free agents that we should go pick up? What I'll say to that is stay tuned. If you haven't already, now's actually a great time to subscribe because we're going to keep you guys covered on all the chaos that's going to end up happening this offseason. I know that it is a disappointing showing, but in terms of free agency targets, guys, I promise you, we will keep you guys covered and you won't miss out on anything. So any questions that you guys got on free agency, I can't answer them all right now, but stay tuned. We will do plenty of free agency targets. From Jonathan, this is the doozy I mentioned. Should we trade Russ to Buffalo for Allen? As crazy as this is, the Bills aren't going to do that. They won't. They will instead just keep their younger quarterback. And frankly, you probably shouldn't trade Russell Wilson anyway. All right, Jayce Carlson. Does Chris Carson come back? And we need to fire Brian Schottenhemier. There were plenty of prior Schottenhemier questions, so we'll get to that in a little bit here. As for Chris Carson, I don't know. I think it's going to depend on what he wants in the open market. I like Chris Carson. He had a good game today. 16 carries, 77 yards, also caught one pass for 5 yards. If you can get him on the Melvin Gordon contract, which is like 2 years 18, 2 years 16, something like that, I'm open to that. If he wants more than that, it's a lot for me to give up. So we'll see what he wants. As for Brian Schottenhemier, you can get your votes in here. Do you want to keep him? Yes or no? FS for fire Brian Schottenhemier, or type KS for keep him. Now, for this particular question, I'm going to make this one the pinned comment on today's video. But get your votes in if you get that ad break. FS for yes, KS for no. Micah Clark, love the vids, will still watch them, but I don't want to be a Seahawks fan anymore. Yikes. Been dealing with this team every year. Should I not be a fan anymore? I understand the frustration here. I honestly do, because it's frustrating to see this team continue to end up getting into the playoffs and then losing. But no, I don't think you should stop being a fan. Don't quit. There are a lot of worse franchises out there than Seattle. Seahawks Productions. Should we trade Wilson and a 4 or 5 for Deshaun Watson? Oof. That's a good question. Get your votes in here. Y for yes, N for no, off the cuff here. I honestly don't think Houston would take that. Wilson remains a franchise quarterback, and I love him. Deshaun Watson is also younger, and I think that would very much play into into consideration here. So I don't think Houston would. So in the end, it's kind of a net gain. And also, I kind of put Seattle in like a Cowboys or Bills category here. You know you have your franchise guy. This isn't Madden. I think in the end, even though he is a little bit older, just stick with what you have. But that's a good discussion and talking point to have, my friend. Look at you hating on Russ. What a disgrace. Should we draft a cornerback? Interesting question. I think Seattle should consider doing that. I think that'd be a good decision. A lot of this, again, depends on what you do in the free agent market. Do you retain Shaquille Griffin and Dunbar? If so, no, you're probably fine. If you lose one or two of those guys, then yeah, I think you almost have to draft someone or sign them to a one-year deal. So again, we'll see what ends up happening in terms of what the future holds for Seattle and everything in there in terms of going forward as it relates to what they end up doing in free agency, in the draft. There's going to be a lot of difficult decisions. Another, who should we replace Brian Schottenhemier with? Good question. I don't know. Honestly, I think you can look at the Rams if you want to have a more Rams-like offense. What if you went with Shane Waldron, who's not been a play caller before in the NFL, but is the Rams passing game coordinator? I think that might be a good idea for Seattle. But we'll look at more in-depth names if they do end up firing Brian Schottenhemier, so we'll see. As for who you guys want to keep or fire, let me know in the comments section. Who do you guys want to go out and go target to make a move here and dump or cut? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. All right, Lukas Jensen, Dunlap for J.J. Watt. Ooh. I will make note here as I kind of support support Carlos Dunlap. I do think that Dunlap was a huge part of why this defense got better down the stretch. Money-wise, it's actually pretty even. I think you'd rather have J.J. Watt in general, and FS Dillon says, do they have a chance to get J.J. Watt? I don't know. I am unconvinced that J.J. Watt is going to be on the open market. I don't really think that's a decision that the Texans are really gonna make. I think they're going to try and keep J.J. Watt. If you do move on from him, you kind of have to include a Dunlap-type contract, which you might cut him anyway. So as it relates to J.J. Watt, unfortunately, I wouldn't get your hopes up. All right, Gabriel Warren, should the Seahawks get David Njoku this offseason? I am unconvinced that Seattle needs another tight end. To also answer the question that came in from Seahawks News, I don't think that's something that they really need to do. I think they're in pretty good shape right now at tight end. You have Disley. I think Hollister will be a free agent. So, okay, maybe at that point you consider it. If he's cheap, hell yeah. Do I want to throw big money at a tight end? Not really. Ammo 123. Any updates on Josh Gordon? As we sit here right now, no, I don't have anything new as it relates to Gordon. I hope at some point he's able to get reinstated. I don't know when or if that's going to actually end up happening, though. Once again, today's show made possible by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use the promo code you guys see on screen. That'll get you a 125% deposit bonus when you put down at least $100. That's available at chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Seahawks125. All right, from Ryan Fergon, should we keep Pete Carroll? Also, what about Ken Norton? Oh boy. Again, let me know who you guys want to keep or fire in the comments section. You just extended Pete Carroll. So because of that, I don't really think Carroll is someone likely to go anytime soon. In terms of Norton, I'm down to look into a different direction. How about bringing back Dan Quinn or Gus Bradley? If you can get one of those guys, I'm all for it. Seahawks Productions. Let me get this one up instead. Should we trade Russ at all? Maybe take a shot at quarterback in the draft. I don't want to do this. I know that Wilson struggled down the stretch, and in the game that mattered the most, he didn't have his best stuff, and he struggled in the back half of the season. I don't want to move on from Russell Wilson right now. I know he's going to be 33. He's still a top 10 NFL quarterback. So no, I don't want to trade Russell Wilson. Because even if you move on from him, at that point, maybe you might be in a position where you're hanging out around top-end quarterback range. I don't think that's a great path. So, Joseph, Russ for Watson and JJ, that Houston tells you to F off. There's no way that they do that. Look at you hating on Russ. What a disgrace. Trade Wagner for a player in a first. I don't know if you could get that for a player of his age. Also, I don't want to trade away my best player on defense. So that's not something I really want to pursue if I'm Seattle. But I do want to go back briefly here to that Russell Wilson discussion. Grade him this year. A, B, C, D, or F. And then we'll get to a few more questions here. In the end, kind of a tale of two Russes, right? First 5, 6, 7, 8 games, oh my God, he was the damn MVP. After that, not at his best. So get your votes in A, B, C, D, or F. A draft question from Sociopath. Possibility of drafting Trey Sermon. Good question. I think there's a real chance. Sermon's helped his draft stock out significantly. You're light on draft capital. I think he'd be there in round 2. Not sure about after that, though. Jonathan says trade Lockett and then a number 2 pick for Diggs from Buffalo. No. And I first off, I love Tyler Lockett, and I love Stephon Diggs. But the difference in upgrade from Lockett to Diggs, in a bubble, I'm not sure is really worth a second-round pick. And then on top of that, I don't know if moving on from your second-round selection is really going to benefit you, frankly, at all in the end. Like, I don't think that's going to end up helping you out at all. I think in the end, that just ends up limiting how you can upgrade other areas like the offensive line. As sports fans, as with a super chat, why trade Russ? The issue is the offensive line. Again, I agree with that. I'm trying to find your super chat, by the way, but I'm not seeing it pop up yet. So sorry about that. I'll try and get to it here in a little bit. But yeah, I agree. I don't think trading Lockett in a second-round pick or Russ is good. Invest those picks on your defense and offensive line. Ryan says, do you think our GM should leave? And if so, who do he replace him with? You've had success in terms of the draft, especially later on in recent years. I feel like that's going to be an internal candidate, probably the path those teams end up going. I don't know if Schneider's really going to end up leaving. My suspicion here is that they end up just keeping him and he gets an extension. Julian Garcia, how much money is there in free agency? Enough to make some moves, but not enough to spend wildly. I think some internal moves are going to be the key goal for Seattle. And then I want to get to Joel's comment. How many more years will we have to draft a quarterback for Russ? Great question. I don't know. Russ is still fairly young. So because of that, I don't think you have to make a decision quite yet. I think what makes the most sense here is just kind of sticking around and trying to hold on while you can and use because you got limited draft cap. Remember that. You don't have a lot of picks this year. So I think it makes a lot of sense to use those draft picks on your offensive line, on your secondary, on your defense. I think that makes the most sense in the end here for the Seahawks. I think that would be a good move. Seahawks news, the last question here. Thank you all so much for your questions here. Should we let KJ Wright walk? I mean, we drafted Jordan Brooks for a reason. I think that's the most likely outcome. You spent a first-round pick on a linebacker who's best in run support. You got to get him on the field more, and you got to give him more chances to grow as a pass rusher, not pass rusher, but as a coverage guy. I think, you move on from KJ Wright, you keep Jordan Brooks as the starter, and you try and invest at your cornerback spot and on your offensive line in particular.